How come every time we do this podcast, you're in like a different spot? Do you just move around your house?
I had to change because of internet. The internet where I was not good.
Got it. Where are you now?
I'm in my my pseudo music room.
Nice.
Can you not see the giant XLR collection behind him there?
I see.
Yeah, Ooh. I need 15 XLRs in this 5x5 room.
Look at that rat's nest you got behind you.
All right, guys. They're actually coiled up very nicely. All right.
Nerd.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
All right. I got an actual question to change the subject here. So I was wondering, do you guys have any particular stories of meeting drummers you admired or like seeing them live or any type of interactions?
I have one that I met, a drummer I really admired, and he was a huge asshole to me.
Sorry about that, Jordan. Sorry.
When I first met Nate, so when I first met Nate, it was
Jordan, I know who it is.
Wait, let's hear it.
I met, which is why I said he was an asshole the other day. We were in our text group.
Oh yeah.
There used to be a record store in Seattle called Easy Street. It was the best record store in the world. There's still one in West Seattle, but the Queen Anne one is up the block from Key Arena. So we used to be like, if somebody crazy was playing at Key Arena, there was a good chance you were going to see him at the record store. And I went in one day and was playing at the Key, and I couldn't get tickets. It was way sold out. This was like right after.
Okay,
It was right after.
Yeah.
But I was working tooth and nail at the time, so at lunch we would always go to the sandwich shop, and then we'd spend an hour in the record store, just like walking around. And I walked in, and I saw from the back, I was like, that dude looks cool. And he turned around, I was like, shit, that's. And I walked up to him, and I was like, no, I'm a drummer. I'm a huge fan. I tried to come to the show tonight. I can't come, but I'm disappointed. But I just wanted to say hi. I really like your playing. And he said something like, yeah, why wouldn't you? And and I stuck my hand out to shake his hand, and he didn't stick his hand out, and he turned around and he walked away.
Wow.
All right. That dude sucks.
Oh man. The why wouldn't use a sick comment.
That is a pretty sick line.
Yo, why?
I wish I had that confidence.
I know. But he was wearing like a huge chain. I mean, he looked like an idiot.
Yeah.
Like
He is a goat, though.
bummer.
He's a goat, though.
He's one of the best ever. Yeah.
Hey, man, goats sometimes are assholes, you know?
Did you take the poster of him down off your wall after that interaction?
It used to hang over my bed, and now it's,
on the ceiling, you would stare up at night. That's a good one.
I don't know. I don't really like drummers.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, I think I've met people that I'm like.
Nate's like, I met myself, and it's pretty sick.
I looked in the mirror one day, and I have
like band dudes that I've been like very nervous to meet, and then I'm just like, oh, like I like usually panic. But yeah,
I don't moving on from that.
I actually was there when Nate panicked at one of them.
Mike Herrera.
Yeah, Mike Herrera in Australia. Yeah.
How'd you blow it?
They're like sitting outside at a restaurant, and I knew they're on the thing, and I was like, oh God. And Jordan's like, yeah, we can walk by and say hi. Like I do, see it, whatever.
I like got him. I was like, "Yo, Mike," and he came. He was like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" And I was like, "Have you met Nate?" And he's like, "No." And I looked over, and Nate's like, just like unable to speak.
And then I got like really loud. I was like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" Yeah, I was like super loud. It's funny because we're friends. We're friends now, but it took years, dude. I would stress out around him. I was just like didn't know what to say. Like, I mean, growing up, MXPX was like my ultimate band. So that was a tough one for me for sure.
I met Dave Grohl once.
Did you really?
Crazy. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It was at
drum teacher
South by. Yeah. We talked about you actually.
We talked about you.
You were like, hey man, they can't all turn out good.
I was like.
Oh man!
I pointed at him like Reed, and he was like Reed. And no, but so it was at South by, and we were out. Obviously, it's funny. We were hanging at the Four Seasons. In the moment, I don't really.
You were
care about
staying
this.
at the Four Seasons.
Oh.
No. Let's get at it. Let's get at it. I don't care about this because this is in the past. Our manager was staying at the Four Seasons, and we were staying at a Holiday Inn 30 minutes outside of the city. Anyways, we were standing outside of the hotel, and
I didn't know was managing you guys.
Oh my God. There's gonna be a lot of beeping on this.
There's
episode.
another beep.
Jeez Louise.
A van pulled up and there's a bunch of commotion, and the doors of the van just fly open, and it was like a scene from a movie, and he
Doves
just
fly up.
and he just
a bunch of fog.
he stumbles out of the van like he's drunk. And I was like, I was like, is Dave Grohl hammered right now? And I was like, is that Dave Grohl?
And this was there daylight? Was it or at night?
No, it was at night. They had just finished doing this was during the Sound City thing.
He actually can't come out during the day.
That's what
His skin burns.
It was just us, and we were standing in front of the doors, and he stumbles out, and then I was like, what's up with him? And then he just popped up, and it was like he was just joking around, which is pretty funny. But we got to talk to him for a little bit.
Was he doing that for you guys? As like,
I guarantee that's just how he is. He was just acting like a fool, which was funny, and you would I think that's what you would hope that he would,
for sure.
He would be like, and he was like that. And we got to talk to him for a little bit, and he was like the nicest person ever.
What'd y'all talk about?
I didn't talk because I was the same thing as Nate. I was like, what is going on right now? This is absolutely insane. But he like was looking at, so the funny thing is, it's like any other situation. We're like, hey, can we get a photo with you?
Wait, I've seen this photo.
I know. I can send it to you guys, but the person taking the photo was like doing the classic, like, how do you use a camera? And he was just like, we were like, oh my God. And he jokingly looked at the guy that in the band I was playing with, the bass player. He jokingly looked at him and was like, he's like, all right, like that kind of thing. But he's a very nice guy. But adding to that, I went inside and then I got in the elevator for some reason. I don't know why. And as I'm standing in the elevator, Novoselic and Pat get in the elevator with me.
Jeez.
But it was one of those things, like, in a movie when you see the from the perspective of looking in, and it's the person is standing in front and the people are behind him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was for me. So like I'm in the elevator with like basically,
all of Nirvana pretty much.
Basically, yeah. And it's crazy too. That night, that's the night that I met Billy Corgan too. It was just like this weird.
Whoa.
It was just a weird thing because I mean, South by was, how South by is. There's just so many people. But rambling aside, it was cool to meet Dave Reed's drum teacher.
I mean, I just met Travis Barker very recently, like 2 months ago.
How was that?
And that was it was crazy. Like, he's just, if you think about what he is into the drum community, I mean, he's
still,
I'm saying, and I think he'll go down in history. Like he start as in the drum world, like he started a thing and just it influenced so many people. And he is such a whether he's your style or not, he is a absolutely ripping drummer.
He's not my guy, but he absolutely is a guy.
Dude, 100%. And so anyway, that was pretty sick meeting him. I was like, dude, like you're iconic and one of the biggest drummers ever.
Nice.
I wasn't nervous, truthfully. Like I wasn't like, oh, just because I think he's not like some huge influence on me, but just knowing what he is for so many people and just, the name of who he is was cool for sure.
I mean, living in New York, I've not met people, but I've seen Patti Smith on the subway a couple times, and like
that's crazy.
That sort of stuff. You're just that's history that some of those people have. You're just sort of like, this is insane.
The in that hotel room in the lobby, I walked past Owen Wilson too, which was like there's
I've met him.
Yeah, we met him.
Really?
Jordan was with me. We played Leno.
No way. That's so cool.
Amberlin played Leno, and
didn't he say he was he was like, I love the record.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a fan.
I love the record.
I was like, like none of us said anything. We're just like, oh yeah, totally.
That tour, that was right before Soundwave. Talk about meeting crazy people.
Oh, that whole tour was crazy.
That Social D's on our stage, like Mike Ness is just like in the green room every day. And
yo, do you remember the Leno thing? I'll never forget this.
The what?
We were in the dressing room during Leno when we played Leno. So he was doing like a read before the show. You know what I mean? Like he was up behind his desk and we were in our dressing room, but he's like in his normal, actually he's wearing like full on Canadian tuxedo. I thought it looked sick.
So sick.
But he's like running over stuff. And we have a feed into our dressing room because it's just on, nothing's recording. Dude, I think back about that and I'm like, I should have recorded it. And it wasn't like cancelable, but dude, he was riffing.
Oh, that's right.
And it was gnarly.
Raunchy,
I'm talking
yeah.
raunchy as he was just up there. I'm talking the grossest jokes, and he was just like laughing with this whole crew. And we were just like, because you don't see that on, you know what I mean?
But
Right.
but he was like that
He was
early
a
on. Though.
comedian.
He was,
Yeah,
he did stand up. Yeah,
He was a massive.
He still does.
stand-up
He still
comedian.
does stand up.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I said, cancelable.
Yeah,
It was
just fuck this,
so
fuck that.
gnarly. Yeah, just dirtiest mouth just was like going off, and I was just like, and it was cool to see. But he came back there, and he was super cool too. He was shockingly cool. He was like
that's
hung for a bit, talked. He was just like, "Oh, thanks for being here." Like
and Nate,
cool.
which was the first one you did with Amberlynn? What was the late night thing?
The first late night thing we did Craig Ferguson, and
He was other than Letterman, he was my favorite.
Yeah,
I find him to be so funny. Yeah.
He's so
also an old punk. He's an old he was in punk bands in Scotland and stuff. He's like an old. He maybe played drums.
Put him on here. We did Ferguson, and then we did Kimmel twice, and then we did Leno.
Did you do Kimmel outside? Was it like the crazy outside?
First
stage?
one we did inside, and then the second one we were like bigger, so we did the outside stage. It was cool.
There was a period with Kimmel where the outside performances were just like, I remember being on YouTube. Like this was before you would like search for the bands.
Well, that was it.
That was it.
If you made it outside at Kimmel, that was like, and it's funny. It was like the early new like breaking bands were inside. Like, here's a new single, it's blown up. But then there was like, if you were outside for Kimmel, you were like, oh my god, they made it. And and when we did it, it was like
you're probably like, this is crazy.
Yeah, well, how did we get here? Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's where I saw Harrison Ford.
Nuh-uh, really? Wait, go back. What, you met Harrison Ford?
Yeah, he was on the night we did Kimmel.
Damn.
Wow.
Lucy Liu and Harrison Ford.
Well, did you talk to Harrison Ford, or was it just like kind of like
no? It was we were like, oh hey,
so I met John Theodore once, who
sick
used to be the Mars Volta drummer, and then now Queens of the Stone Age, and grew up admiring him for sure. I mean, how couldn't you? But the connection was basically I worked at Starbucks with his cousin, Sebastian Theodore. Sebastian, shout out.
I remember that.
And I found out only working with him, he just casually mentioned that his cousin was the drummer of Mars Volta at the time, and I couldn't believe it. But that was way back, and then years later, he's playing with Queens of the Stone Age. Sebastian hits me up and says, hey, they're playing in St. Pete, Florida at the Mahaffey Theater. Do you want to come with me to the show? I said, of course. Show ends, and he's going to go say hi to John. We go back there, and sure enough, walk into the room, there's John Theodore, say hi to him, just talking casually, very nice guy. Wasn't going to say anything about drumming whatsoever. And then Sebastian goes, hey, John, Reed's a drummer, actually. And I just...
You're like, shut up!
My heart started singing. I was just like, please
he's
stop.
like, oh, show me what you got.
You want to fill in?
And at the time, I was playing with Say Anything. And he's like, oh, yeah? He's like, and Sebastian's like, yeah, he plays for a band called Say Anything. He's great. And John just kind of like nod his head. He's like, cool. He's like, I'll check you guys out. And I just was like...
No, you won't.
Yeah, he would.
That dude's like the nicest dude ever too.
He was so nice.
Yeah, I met him recently too. He was super, super nice.
He's a ripping drummer too.
He really is.
I did a tour with that band Ivan and Alyosha, and we played
I remember that.
What's
band.
the Ohio? Beachland. We played the tavern up front, and there was a show in the Beachland ballroom behind. And the guy that was playing that night was this guy, Bobby Keys, who was a saxophone player, RIP, Bobby Keys. He played for Harry Nilsson, and he played on, I think, some Prince stuff. Like, he's just like an 80s, 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, like saxophone guy. And after we played the tavern, actually the front of house guy at the tavern that night was Dave, the original drummer from Reliant K. So that was like a weird, like a weird hang.
Yeah.
So after we played, we're all sitting at the bar in the tavern, which is in the room, and like we're having drinks, and Dave's there, and somebody comes over from the tavern or from the theater, and is like, hey, Bobby and some of the guys want to come in and have a drink. Is that cool with you guys? Because they were closed. We were like, yeah, I don't care. So he comes over, like a bunch of guys come over, and we're just hanging out talking to him. And a fan walks in and has this Harry Nilsson LP and asks Bobby to sign it. And he like gets teary eyed, and he like touches his picture on the cover. He's like, oh, my dear friend. And he like signed it and gave it back to him. And I was like,
that's crazy.
so we like start talking about Harry Nilsson, and I was like, he's my Beatles. Like I like, I think he's like the best thing ever. And we go over to the merch booth, and he has all this kind of stuff, and he had a beer koozie that said Bobby Keys and whatever his band was called. And I was like, how much for that beer koozie? Like, I want one of those. And he's like, for you, $10. And I was like, rad. How much is it normally? He goes, $10.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
great.
that. God, that's so
That's
sick.
great.
Do you guys know Jim Chapin? You guys ever heard that name before?
No.
So he's one of the guys that like sort of ushered in the Moeller technique. Do you know what that is?
No?
I don't.
Damn,
And
man.
so this is like deep. This is like deep technical stuff. So this guy is like OG. He's unfortunately passed away. But I walked into Guitar Center one day, and I was just looking around in the drum section, and this old guy walks. I mean, it took him like 15 minutes to even just get into the drum section. That old, And I was like, who is this guy? And I was at the counter, and the guy behind the counter was like, oh, that's Jim Chapin. And I was like, oh, I knew who he was, but I was like, holy shit. And it's one of those guys where like he took him 15 minutes to walk into the drum section, and then he sat down at a drum kit and just proceeded to destroy the drum kit.
Dude.
That's
Absolutely.
It's like Yoda walking.
Yeah, exactly.
Barely walk, and then
It's exactly what it was like. And the funny thing was, I was just like kind of in the corner, just watching this guy just like, I've never seen anybody play like that. Like, played traditional, hit so hard. He was like 85 years old, and I was like, this guy hits harder than anybody I know.
that's so cool.
And he sees me in the corner, and he goes, "Hey,"
I said, quit looking at me.
he's like, "Come, no." He's like, "Come over here," and I was like, "Okay."
Yes, sir.
So I walk. I was like,
How old were you, Ben?
It's like last year.
Yeah, this is like last week. This is a while ago. I think it was like 20 or 21, or maybe even 19, whatever. He proceeds to give me like this. Maybe not to some people, this won't be that big of a deal, but he proceeds to give me like an hour-long lesson.
Whoa.
Unbelievable.
And like the crazy thing is I had his book. He has like a very famous drum book for technique and all that stuff. And I had it, and I in my mind I was like, this is insane. But he proceeded to give me just an hour-long drum lesson. And after that, he's like, okay, I'm going to leave. He stood up, and it took him 15 minutes to leave the drum section.
That
And
probably
I
made
just-
him so happy because he probably
I
used
was
to
just
teach
about
and
to
you were a young kid and he was like, here's
And you're
something,
good. He was probably pumped that you were good.
Well, not even.
Yeah.
I mean, even at that point, I don't even know if it was like good, good or bad. I think in that moment, I was like, this is legendary. This is something that I'm going to be able to like hold on to. Like,
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
At the end, he's like, you owe me $500.
Well, it's just because he lived. So I'm from Fort Myers, Florida, and he lived. I think at the time he was living in Naples, which isn't that far. And I was like, why is he at this Guitar Center? But yeah, I mean, dude,
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when you think of somebody, I mean, dude, he was old, man. And you just picture that in your
Still
mind.
ripped.
Yeah, he could still. I mean, I'm not joking. Could rip to the point where I was like, oh yeah, this guy is that guy, because even age doesn't stop
Doesn't
him from
affect him. Yeah.
doesn't affect him
That's
at
so
all. You know,
cool.
so sick.
We were talking about late night, and this reminds me of when I saw Anton Fig. He used to be the drummer of Letterman.
Oh yeah,
He came
Legend.
in to do a drum clinic in Tampa, and I'll never forget it. And not just because of his playing, because he did play and it was incredible, but he took Q&A at the end. And there was one question about how he got the job at Letterman. And he responded just flippantly saying, I just showed up. And people started laughing, and he was not laughing at all. He was dead serious. And he goes, no, I'm serious. He's like, you'd be surprised how many unreliable people there are in the music industry. And just by being consistent and showing up to work, he's like, that's how I ended up getting the job.
but also being a complete ripper too.
Yeah. Yeah, but it just always stuck with me as far as just having, just being dedicated and reliable. And it's just more than just, of course, he's an amazing drummer and ability plays a role there, but I never forgot it. It just stuck with me.
Yeah. I mean, to add to that too, I think, we've talked about this before, but, there's plenty of drummers out there. There's plenty of drummers that are way better than any of us too. But I think it adds to that, where the reason why even half the gigs that I've had in my life, I just did as much preparation as I could, and to say that not any other drummer could do that gig, but showing up and just being able to like
being ready to rip.
to rip it, is
Mhm.
is a big thing. So that does make sense. It's cool that he said that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Here's one for you.
Here's one for you.
Here's one. Here's one for you. Are there any songs where you think the cover is better than the original, or is there a remix where you're like, I like this, I would listen to this before the original?
Here's one that people say all the time that I heavily disagree with is the Wonderwall cover.
Ryan Adams.
Yeah, they're like, it's better than the original. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it is not.
Yeah. I don't know. That is the go-to thing. Like, dude, it's better than the original. I'm like, no, it can't be. It's funny because Amberlin's done a handful of covers. Covers are really, really tough for me, truthfully.
I was going to say Amberlin's cover of Love Song. That's obviously my favorite.
Is better than the original.
I ever told you that story about my friend at like homeschool, grew up with him. But Love Song, we recorded that. We needed one more song. We had 9 songs. And then Aaron Sprinkle's like, yo, what's bands y'all all like? And everyone's like, oh, Karen, blah, blah. So we did that song. And my buddy came up to me. And again, I was probably 15 years old. And he was like, dude, he's like, I heard a cover of your song at the grocery store and it is awful. He's like, whoever covered it, he goes, it is so bad. He's like, I didn't know who it was, but he's like, I couldn't believe that someone was covering y'all's song. And I was just like, oh no.
That is funny as hell.
He was like, dude, it sounded so bad. Just The Cure, one of the biggest songs. He's like, sounded terrible.
I will say, I think, which this is a testament to the band, but I think I generally prefer remixes of Deftones songs to the originals, even though I love the originals. But I think that's partially because Deftones are very good at picking the right people to remix specific
100%.
songs.
Yeah. There's some incredible remixes of them.
Yeah.
I think it's Iron and Wine, Such Great Heights cover.
Wow. That is
Postal Service. That's a pretty
You like
good
it
one.
more?
I don't know. That's why I'm hesitating, because I love that the Postal Service album. It's iconic, of course, and it's an incredible song. But I don't know. That Iron and Wine cover he made it his own.
Makes me cry.
And does it?
I mean, it's just like, it's so, I mean, Iron One is just, dude is emotional.
Yeah. His voice is like, but it's just crazy how
instant sadness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough thing. It's like, I don't know. I have one. I don't think it's better than the original, obviously, because the original is crazy, but is the live Nirvana Unplugged album when he covered Lead Belly. That cover is pretty insane, but it's not better than the original, but it's a great cover.
What do you think about Buckley's cover of Hallelujah?
I mean,
most people think that's the original.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a few songs like that. I'm gonna probably blank, but there's a handful of songs that were massive, and most people don't realize that it was either a cover from, Alien Ant Farm, Smooth Criminal.
Yeah,
that's the OG, right?
That's the original.
It's the best 100%. Version, sure.
It's the
MJ covered
MJ covered Alien Ant Farm.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I mean, there's Hurt, Johnny Cash.
I mean, that one is insane.
We talking about 9 Inch? Wait.
When Johnny Cash covered 9 Inch Nails, that version is.
Actually, I would say that might be the only one in my brain that is better than the original.
How did that even hit?
There's an insane
Rick Rubin
story.
and Johnny Cash's radar.
Yeah, there's
a story about that.
Yeah,
there's a story about that. Rick brought that song to Johnny because what that song's about is like very similar to Johnny's story, and he liked it and wanted to cover it, and Trent said no, and so I think if I'm remembering it right, the story is that they did it anyway, and then Rick showed it to Trent, and Trent was like, like that's now Johnny's song. And then they had Romantic, who's my favorite director, do the video with the videos, like makes it even crazier.
I mean, there's not many songs like that I've heard where you like him singing that is the most. Yeah. It's so heavy, dude. 100%. And it was also, I mean, right before he passed, right? I mean, it wasn't that
it was not
long. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's the ones like usually I'm like, yeah, lyrics, whatever. Like they can, but that song is like about the lyrics. It's
Yeah.
like less about the melody and more about the lyrics.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah, I would say that might be the only one in my brain that's like, oh, that one is better.
No, I was going to speaking of Nine Inch Nails, does everyone here like Nine Inch Nails, or is it not?
I do, but I never,
Right.
I never grew up listening to it and having it shape me as a musician or drummer. Maybe like my other friends.
I didn't really either. Like because we weren't allowed to listen to that shit when I was a kid. But
Yeah.
I remember when With Teeth came out, and that blew my mind.
Me
like,
too, man.
I was like, this is Nine Inch. Like I had heard, songs from the Downward Spiral and, Pigs and all that stuff,
Yeah.
radio stuff. But then when I really sat down and listened to that, I was like,
Girl,
this is
it's Dave,
next level. This
Reed's
record.
teacher.
He played on With Teeth, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I actually
There's
didn't
that
know
one song where it's riding on the rack tom, and then it goes like like what's the name of the song? Anyways, that part, the drums on that album are absolutely insane. It's so good.
The videos of them practicing for that one tour, and when Freeze plays a couple of the songs on that, and it's like, jeez, dude. There's this look, watching him do it, you're like, that's the drum part. He's not adding anything, but when you see him playing it, you're like, there's stuff going on in that song I didn't even it doesn't even register. Like
It's actually that I saw them in it might have been on that tour, and it was still to this day the craziest show I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely insane. It sounded insane. The visuals were insane. Pino was playing bass. Alon Rubin was playing drums. It was crazy.
I still think Alon's the best in that band.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a guy. Speaking of him, you're talking about a guy. It's funny when we talked about Bonham. He kind of reminds me of Bonham because he has like the power, but also the feel. Because it's very hard to feel is just hard.
Yeah, agree.
And his feel is absolutely insane.
But he still hits hard, and he still leans into it, and he still has a presence about it. But yeah, I mean, obviously Freeze is on a next level, but seeing him play live with Nine Inch Nails, it was just absolutely insane. Like,
I think Freeze is an interesting guy because I don't know. I mean, obviously with Perfect Circle and that sort of stuff, like you hear him, but he's a chameleon in a way that, like, when he plays with other bands, you don't know that it's him. Like
that's what maybe makes him so great.
That's probably why he's the best.
He's
studio
play
guy of all time.
Foo Fighters, Foo Fighters. Now he's with them. It's like, actually, let's talk about that. I can't stand his setup for how he's playing Foo Fighters. It's upsetting to me. I literally was like angry. I watched the video and I was like, is this a joke? I kept waiting for them to be like, we're just kidding. He's not going to actually have two kicks on stage when he's playing with the Foo Fighters, but he does. It's like, it's like, obviously you can't replace Hawkins. I don't think if they would have found someone that like tried to just play like him, but it was so different that I was just like, oh man. This is a weird choice to me.
Now I need to look this up. I haven't really seen it.
I wonder how much of that is like because it isn't the original band now and whatever, that they're just looking at it as like a big spectacle.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
I understand that, but it's like those memes where it's like someone, they got no business doing this to this songs. And I'm like, it's Foo Fighters. Like Taylor Hawkins wasn't like a super minimalist drummer. He'd have like 4 toms and tons of cymbals, but seeing his setup with like, it looked like a straight up metal drummer. Yeah. It was upsetting to me.
Yeah.
2 kicks is so bad.
Well, it's crazy. So I don't know if you ever saw Josh Freese play with Sting. He played with Sting for a little bit, and he was doing all the Stuart Copeland stuff. And it is crazy that he can do that much different stuff. Like, because parts, those Sting, the police stuff is.
I would say that would be the hardest. I would say
100%. Yeah.
I mean, even Nine Inch Nails, a lot of the weird time signature stuff, and a lot of that. But
a lot of that's drum machine.
That's
early stuff is. So
also, I'm sure the With Teeth drum parts.
Yeah,
he aren't what he played. Like they're chopped up and moved around.
Yeah, and he probably figures out how to do it live. But this trying to play Stuart Copeland parts with that feel and the technicality is like that's so hard.
This is by far the nerdiest episode. We're going to lose followers.
Yeah. We're going to lose followers. Are you sure? Or maybe we'll gain them.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be Googling like, who the fuck's Stuart Copeland?
I mean, do you think? Actually, I want to say one thing before. It's crazy. Someone was talking about. I've listened to something recently, and people were talking about Bob Dylan.
Worst of
And,
all time.
Sucks.
Well, no,
Absolute
all right,
trash.
Boring.
Okay. But they were saying nowadays, it's so like some of these guys were mentioning, you ask younger kids, I'm talking like younger kids, if they know who Bob Dylan is, and they don't know who Bob Dylan is.
That's good.
That's the only thing that gives me faith for the younger generation.
This is like backfiring, but yeah,
It is an absolute crime of humanity. If there is a God and a heaven and I arrive there and I will ask God, why did you make Bob Dylan more famous than the band?
I never got into Bob Dylan. I'm with you guys.
Yeah, because it's not good.
I never did either, but I respect it. I think there's
The best thing Bob Dylan did was have his son, and he made Wallflowers.
Oh my God!
I agree.
So many people are gonna be so upset.
Without Bob, you wouldn't have Jacob, and you wouldn't have One Headlight, one of the best songs of all time.
Speaking of which, one headlight drum groove is insane. I think that's Chamberlain. I could be wrong, but
It is Chamberlain, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
I think that whole album might be like
The players, if you look up
Unreal.
who played on that record, it is an absolute murderer's fucking row. Like, it's insane, dude.
Also, I know they had another album and they probably have multiple, but that
It's good.
that
dude.
is one of those things. It's like a weird one. That album was so incredible.
Which one?
In that first Wallflowers album.
It's every song is a single. Every song is a
Oh yeah, I mean, I only remember really One Headlight. I don't
What?
really
What?
remember the other
Dude, that whole album.
I
rips.
also think it's funny that you're that like people are gonna hear this and be like, you think Jacob Dylan is bad.
He's way better than Bob.
Guess
Come on.
what? He writes real songs and he's not just like talking into a mic. I can't.
I know, but
stand
it's
that.
not. It's you gotta. The thing with Dylan though, it's not even all about the music. You know, it's like about the time he came up and just
Yeah, I get it.
I know you guys get it. I'm not
listen
trying
to the people.
preach
Listen to the people that played. Listen to the people that played on that record. Adam Duritz from Counting Crows.
What did he do on it?
Backup vocals and a couple keys. T-Bone Burnett,
Sick,
John Bryan,
sick,
Matt Chamberlain,
sick.
Leo LeBlanc,
Met him. No,
mixed by Tom Lordau.
Jeez Louise. Yo, here's a T-Bone Burnett story.
let's go.
So I'm going to record in LA for Yellow Cards, the album I started with him or whatever it is, Lift a Sail. Anyway, went to LA. We're recording with Neil Avron at the studio. I'm blanking on the name. It's where they did Pet Sounds. Beach Boys did Pet Sounds.
Ocean Way or
No, Sunset Sound.
Sunset Sound.
That's right.
Sunset,
Yeah.
So the night before I get there and hanging out with Sean and Yellow Card, and we're drinking and hanging, and it sneaks up on me fast, right? Like he was like feeding me old fashions, and I woke up the next morning, the first day to track drums with Yellow Card, and I was like, oh no, I felt so rough. Like, so I'm wearing like sweatpants and just like ready. I'm like, all right. And we're going to do the whole record, drums and cymbals separate, which we could talk about later. Let's get into that in a second.
Nah.
Hold on. But anyway, so we're in there and I'm in the control room. I just got done doing a take or something. And all of a sudden, like someone starts coming into the room and it's T-Bone Burnett and he's full suit, Ray-Bans on. He's also like 6'8" or something.
Yeah,
And
he's huge, yeah.
I'm like, you know, like I like to dress cool on occasion, but when I was sitting there in sweatpants, feeling like awful, and he walks in and I felt so dumb. I was just like, hey, nice to meet you. And at the time, True Detective first season had just come out, and he did all that, like that intro.
Yeah.
So, dude, it was like that. He was walking around, giving his friends a tour. He just showed up to the studio and no one's going to stop T-Bone Burnett. So he's just walking in and out of people's sessions. And he's like, here's where we did this. And here's where we did that. Just naming like iconic records. But anyway, yeah, that was cool meeting him.
Nate, I like how you're like, I like to dress cool sometimes.
On occasion.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is I'm like, I very much think about that stuff. And it's like any other time I felt like I would have felt fine. You know what I mean? Like I got weird style, but I would have
session
felt
10. Yeah. Session 101. Like you showed up, you're like hungover.
sweatpants. I was just like, oh, where am I? All right, let's talk about drums and cymbals separate.
Well, you know, it's crazy. You said that Songs for the Death. I know that Grohl did that on.
That's
on
why
Queen's
he
of-
started.
Yeah.
I'm angry at him for that reason.
Yeah. It's
Oh, is
incredible that he
started it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, maybe they did that stuff back in the day, but all
That's when it was started being talked
everyone
about,
talked
yeah.
about was like, oh, Grohl did this.
It's
So
insane that he did that on that. I mean, that record is insane. The drum parts are insane on it. It's
Man.
insane he did that.
All
Yeah,
my
like-
lessons with him, he never mentioned that once.
We did it on one song on the first Weather record because of this specific part in the song where we were getting a ton of cymbal bleed. So one part I did it. And when I listened back to that recording recently, and I can hear it. It's like this 16th note hi-hat thing with a groove. And I'm like, actually, I can tell that my hand is not leaving the hi-hat to hit the snare drum.
See, that's why I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Of course. Well, here's what's crazy actually, Amber Lynn did it first. And I remember it was like this thing that was just going around. So we did Vital. And
Was
Aaron
it with
Sprinkle was
Neil?
like, no, it was with Aaron.
Oh, okay.
So Aaron was like, let's do that. And dude, it was just so not fun. It takes everything out of you. You got to do everything twice. I got to remove the cymbals, swing away. It's like extra tiring. It's like hard to make it sound like believable. But anyway, I did it for Yellow Card, and it was like it takes a different part of your brain to do it too, to make it sound like Jordan just said, to make it not sound like that. You can't just go through and be like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then when you go back and play cymbals, you're just playing. You have to, play like you're playing for it to sound believable, because if not, it's just going to sound.
Otherwise, it sounds stale. It just takes the life out of it.
I just don't know if it's worth it. Like, I think that the Queens of Stone Age thing was like so cool, but like I listen back to those albums, and even like now I'm just like, just record drums, like just don't hit the cymbals as hard. You know what I mean? But it's like, I feel like that was such a like almost gimmicky thing to say you did it.
It's like tuning the snare drum to the key of the song. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every drummer on earth heard they did that on the first Third Eye Blind record. It was like, can we tune this snare?
Dude, the thing about drums too is they don't stay in tune. Like,
right.
Like,
No.
I always argue that I'm like, this is going to go out of tune literally 30 seconds into this take.
Also,
like,
though, like maybe there is something to it, because that drums, those are probably the best drum tones of every rock record ever.
Dude, so it'd be so sick to get him on. Seeing him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I've done the note cymbal thing before, and I don't know, man. Drums were meant to be played.
Yeah, agreed.
Like it's we're once again bringing up Bonham. It's like, you think Bonham would have done that?
For sure.
Well, part of the reason why the Levy breaks sounds so good because of the bleed. Along the bleed. That's like,
yeah.
What makes
Again, I think every artist is different in what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe it does make sense for some stuff, but I think within the rock world and that feel, I just it didn't do enough.
I actually think that record sounds less heavy, probably because of that. Partly that everything sounds so tight. It sounds so tight, and if it had like big rock drums on it, it would sound
a little
heavy.
bit of cymbal bleed's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's technique too. I mean, you know, sometimes I've been in a room and over talkback, they're like, hit the cymbals lighter, or stuff like that too, where it's it's just, I don't know. I would much rather, hit
as an
cymbals
AGOP
while
guy.
I'm playing.
I never had to deal with loud cymbals because they just aren't.
Well, they sound muted the whole time.
They sound like trash can lids.
They sound like somebody put tape underneath them.
Sorry that you guys have bad taste in.
Oh, have you guys ever had front of house tape cymbals, like playing shows? Have you ever had that happen to you? Because I have, and I
but the thing is, the problem with that is you'll crack the cymbal.
100%. There's no give.
They're not meant to be taped, and anytime that's ever been said, I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I did the dumb things that Jordan did all the time too for a little bit, with the like little hockey shields that come off of your cymbal stands. It's so embarrassing.
There's nothing less cooler.
Less cool, but I had to do it because we were touring with strings.
Oh yeah.
I thought you played AGOP though. I thought you played AGOP.
Oh yeah, what happened?
You'd be surprised. People still bitch and complain about how loud they are. I'm like, I can barely hear this.
Oh dude, I was so mad. I used to spit all over it just out of spite.
The clear wind. Ew, you could probably.
Hot tuah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No.
Viral. Hot tuah.
Read what?
Society's dying.
Oh my god, dude! Society's down the toilet. But go ahead, read.
There was a tour that we did with Anything, because the album Hebrews, it was mostly strings. There weren't really any guitars, and so we brought a string quartet out with us. But I just remember there was so many issues with having a quartet, and nothing against them. It's just with cymbals and all the noise around it. It was just really hard to do that.
Yeah, I get it. It's just not cool.
Yeah, all y'all trying to be arty. Just play a real set.
Nate, you've played with a quartet, haven't you?
Never. No.
Didn't you guys do an acoustic tour? I thought you had strings on it or something.
Yeah, we did. We did like Amberlin Light, but we didn't have a quartet. We just had like, I had a homie playing like keys and xylophone and extra percussion stuff.
Okay, but not like violin
strings.
or okay.
That's cool. I mean, I've never done that. I don't know what that's like.
I think I tell you what it's like. It's really long fucking sound checks. That's what it's
I'm
like.
sure.
That is true.
Yeah, but usually they're pretty prepared though. So it's
They are, but if they can't hear themselves because they can't turn up the mic. So we ended up doing like it's all like crazy DIs, and they can't turn up loud enough to hear themselves. Like the signal gain, because if they turn up loud and the stage vibrates, then it feeds back. So it's just like every night is this game of like.
So why do it?
Yeah, well, that's
That's what tracks are for.
It ain't cool.
It was a challenging tour to do that.
Did it end? Yeah. But it ended. I mean, sure, it ended up being great though. I mean,
and then like part of that tour that we did them with, it was like the evening with, so it was like a 2.5 hour set where we played 6 songs from every record. They leave for some of it and come back for some of it, and you have to set up the stage with them there, and so it looks weird. It's just like it was not worth the hubbub and all.
The hassle.
Wait, did you? Is it so? Extra people, more people on the bus?
Tons of people on the bus, less crew because
sounds fun
to make it cool.
We put our string quartet in a sprinter
bays.
van, and they had a sprinter van. They had to drive themselves. I felt so bad for them.
Dude.
Yeah, these poor people. Yeah,
that's also true. You know, like it's one of those things too, where like bus drives are not van drives, and it's the times where like openers have to drive like 10 hours through the mountains when it's snowing, and you're just like,
dude,
well,
I have a story about that. The first tour I did with Copeland, we had these openers called We Are the City from Canada, and they were such a good band.
I remember this band.
Fucking ripping dudes, the best, funniest guys. They made that tour really fun, and they did the whole tour gear and everything like in like an SUV.
Damn.
And they had quite a bit of like big keyboards, tons of pedals. They're like one of those bands. We had told them like, we'll take your gear in the trailer because there's no reason for you to be doing some of these drives like sitting on top of cases. So we were doing their stuff every day, and then we were like, our TM was Rupp at the time. We were like, dude, write up an invoice, because they were like making no money. We were like, write up an invoice and give it to them for carrying their gear.
Oh,
that's so
and
mean.
Mean, dude.
We were at the Sinclair in Boston, and we were like, hey dudes, like it was like 4 or 5 days in, and we were like, yo, can we talk to you for a second? And they were like, yeah, sure. And we were like, hey, no problem on carrying the gear, it's all good, like you guys can leave when you're done, like our crew will like, you know, pack up. You don't need to pack up the trailer, like that's silly, like we're gonna do it, but just for the extra gas and stuff, we just wanted to give you this, like, you know, maybe it might be good for you to chip in. And they open it, and it was like a $5,000 bill for like for carrying all their stuff for extra weight.
So gnarly.
And we were all like looking around the corner, and Rupp did it so
good.
Real. Like it was like, and I don't know if he started crying, but I'm pretty sure his eyes welled up with tears, and he was like,
so
his face got really red, and he was really upset. And we were like, no, it's a joke. It's a joke. Don't get upset. They were not stoked.
Dude, usually bands like they'll go hop on stage and like take a cymbal away. You guys are like, you owe us $5,000.
Oh, so good. And for a Canadian band that like spent a shitload of money getting over here, it was just like, oh god.
It's so funny to watch people get.
Dude, I was never a fan of tour pranks. I was older when I toured. I think relative, especially to you, Nate. You were 13 touring, but I just never.
Pranks. Oh my god, it's bad.
It's not back because that episode's not going to get released.
Yeah,
so this is the first time people are going to hear this.
I love pranks. I love to cause trouble.
I love to cause trouble.
I just,
for people that don't know, that's me at 13 years old. Thanks, Jordan.
Check in.
If you guys could see Nate's face,
I don't care. I'm not the one sounding like an idiot right now.
No, I do agree. The like putting a sardine in the back of the van and hiding it, or like that stupid shit, or like I don't know why that.
Once again, that's an insane prank too. But yeah.
Oh, I have so many stories like that.
Oh yeah,
Sayus put a dead bird in our van, and we didn't find
that's
it.
The kind of thing that's like. Why did that become tradition?
I don't know.
Yeah, but that's a little over the line.
Some of it's just mean.
But it's everyone. I feel like back in the day, everyone's bored.
Reed, what was yours before?
I didn't have one. I just was making the comment because
he's like I don't agree with this. What's being said right now?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, man. Some of those back in the day, I think it was just because everyone was bored, and it was like, and like in that world, like no one was drinking back then either. So I was like, what are we gonna do with all our time? I guess we'll just do dumb shit like this.
Where'd the bird come from? Did they
found it? Was like they found it on the ground. They hid it like on our floorboards. I mean, yeah, some of those are funny. I've never
been a part of any pranks. We never did them, but
on this last Yellow Card tour last summer at the end of the show, like with some other bands, they did like funny stuff on stage. Like they brought like they walked a couch out. They walked a couch out in the middle of the song and put it in front of the drum riser, and then just sat down like someone was like drinking, just like stuff like that I think fans can see, and it's like funny. We actually got pranked pretty hard by 30 Seconds to Mars. Jared Leto playing like a whole thing. He made these like toilet paper guns.
What?
And he like ran out and like shot him and would just shoot out toilet paper. You know what I mean? Just like you would like hold a button, it would just unravel it like really quick. And then at one point,
was he shirtless? Was he shirtless?
No,
I feel like
they were like shooting off confetti. It was the last show. And then I also looked over at one point in my ears. I was like, what is happening? And he was straight up like doing like a Irish jig on freaking Christian's pedal board. just like dancing on it. Like full on like
this makes me like
I literally looked over. It was so fun. He was just stomping on every pedal he could find. So Christian was like, it was just switching. And it was truly funny. But that's like funny because it's like lighthearted.
Well, those dudes got us back at the end of that tour. They all in the House of Blues in New Orleans. You guys have all played there. There's the sides, the wings are like really deep on that stage, and you can't see anything from the balcony. And I am playing, and Bobby, our bass player, like looks at me and it gives me a weird face. I was like, what is something going on? And he like turns his head, and they're all standing in Speedos in a line on the side of the stage, and they stood there for like still not moving for like 3 songs.
Wow,
so distracting. We're like playing, it's like
vibey,
emo vibey from the heart, and we like look over. There's just 3
Chippendales. Yeah,
that's
good. You know, it makes me think it's not a tour prank, but Front Bottom's one tour. I remember I went and saw a show, and they had a full bar on stage the entire set.
Yes,
and random people from just wherever. You could just walk out and just get a drink and hang out at the bar while they're literally playing their set.
I went to a show on that tour, Ben. Those are great guys.
Yeah.
I have a question. What does that band name mean?
Front Bottoms.
I think you know.
I do know, but I'm saying, why did you name your band?
Is that what it means?
I don't know if there's anher option. Yeah, I'm asking. Tell me what it is.
Front bottom.
I'm pretty sure it's a front. It's a front of a large man that looks like a butt.
They could have changed the name to Front Butt, which is even funny.
Front Butt is sick. Dude, it's like, what was
I just have always wondered. People talk about that band. I'm like, I can't listen to it because their band name is Front Butt.
Well, what was Riley talking about? What he's like, his kid was like saying, like, why, Dad? Why do you have a?
Oh, you gotta have a butt on top of your butt.
Yeah.
He's like, you got a butt on top of your butt.
Man, we gotta get Matt from Front Bottoms on.
He would definitely do it.
We can ask him about his name.
Well, before we go, band names are just not. They're just band names. No, is there a band name that's just like knocked it out of the park?
There are a couple, but most band names are bad. If you think about the name Pink Floyd, it's a horrible band name. Horrible band name. Led Zeppelin, not great. Not a great band name.
What's a good one? Jordan? What's a good one in your mind?
I actually think like Quicksand is like a lot of the post-hardcore bands. I think those names are good.
Yeah, like
the best band name. It's a bad band name, but there's a metal band called Dragged into Sunlight that I think that's just like as good a like metal band.
I like Minor Threat. Minor Threat is
Threat's
great.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Bad Brains is great.
Bad Brains is great.
I don't know.
A lot of the like the 80s, 90s, the old guard guys, I think got it. Talking about bad, like Third Eye Blind is
terrible name.
Absolute disaster.
Super deep though, if you really think about it.
Yeah, Jimmy World. Come on. Like, it's just, I think for me, everyone's got different parameters of why they think a band name's good or bad. I always felt like if you can, I don't mind the bad names because as soon as you hear it, you know what it is. Does that make sense? Like Pink Floyd is a bad name, but I'm also like bands that are normal words.
I think the Grateful Dead is a great.
Yeah.
Great.
That is a good one.
But I think that, like, I know this is not like the definition of a good band name, but if you can Google it, if you get 100 things before you get to the band, I think it's a bad band name.
Remember that band Snowden?
Snowden?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
You'll never be able to find another thing
That's
about
what
that
I'm
band
saying,
ever
yeah.
again. Like, it's just
Like, even like Queens of the Stone Age, I love that name because it's like, is that. You're not going to be like, wait, what?
Not to call back, Nine Inch Nails, I think is a cool band name, but
Yeah.
also
And
just
the
visually
NIN.
too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The branding is pretty.
there's a guy on TikTok or maybe he's on Instagram that does he reviews band names.
Oh, really?
It's really some of them are
should we
really
get him
funny.
on here?
But he gives the reasoning
fun of
why
him.
it's a good band name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's just
That's
always
cool.
a question I think about.
All right. Reed's got to go.
Sorry.
Reed, go ahead and lead us in a word of prayer.
Yeah. All right,
Everybody
everybody.
bow your heads.
Yeah, right.
Any prayer requests?
I'll bring it up next episode, but I don't know if this is going to work or not. But that we have a phone number now that we can have people call into.
Oh,
good
do
call.
we?
1-900-666.
We do.
It's a 900 number.
Take it away, Ben.
I'll. This is the number actually, and also I know that we have a TikTok now. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so our number is
We actually have a number that you can call in.
yeah, it's call us, leave a voicemail, exclusive. Leave a voicemail, ask a question, critique, tell us how much you hate us, anything really. It's
Just so you know,
Yeah.
just so everyone knows,
All right,
by
so-
participating in this and calling the number, we may play this on the podcast. You are
Yes.
giving consent for your
Yes,
voice to be
correct.
used.
We will use it. We will make fun of it.
the number is the number is 470-588-5940. Once again, the number is 470-588-5940.
And by calling the number and using the service, you're agreeing to
Apply-
having your,
rates-
there is no
rates
legal
may apply.
ramification.
This
If you
could go-
say
this
some
could go-
crazy shit on there, we are going to play it. We are going to
this could
play
go
it
south
in full.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Rates
We
may
won't
apply.
Don't.
Rates-
And if you call, don't give your first and last name. You guys know
No,
this stuff.
we don't want any of that information. We just want you to
Just your social security
Please,
number.
your social security number, your debit
address.
card number, and your
speak
PIN,
your mind.
please.
Whatever prayer you would like us to add to.
And if you donate $10, yeah, we're now taking donations.
Yeah.
and we'll say it
hit like and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok.
rules. Hey, honestly,
Jesus Christ.
the number thing's actually sick. I think that's
No,
gonna be
it's
fun.
going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Yeah. So anyways, it's 470-588-5940. Call in. You might make it on. You might not. We'll see what happens.
And also, you know what? Please leave comments on the podcast on Spotify and like it and like the account and give us 5-star ratings because you know what? We're not doing this for free.
Yeah. This is not for fun.
I mean, we technically are.
As a matter of fact, it's not fun. I'm not having fun.
Here's the thing. I might pick it up. So, I'm not going to pick it up.
Ben, do you think you're going to end up accidentally picking up the phone so many times now?
100%. No, because it goes only to the it's a Google Voice number. So I will probably direct it straight to voicemail. So don't be upset if it goes straight to voicemail. I'm not,
Yeah.
So anyways, it's 470. No.
Ben, if you say the number one more time, Ben, I'm gonna throw
Call-
my microphone.
Call the number, and that number is
470.
470-588.
That's wrong. Let's start
69.
over. 470-588-5940.
69.
Call in now.
5969 1-800-PAIN.
Call the number now.
All right, I really got to go.